Hello YouTube and welcome back to another tool teardown video here on our tool teardown channel. Today we've got a Bosch hammer, a rotary hammer drill to be precise, the PBH 2100 RE Rotary Hammer Drill to be very exact. This is the sort of entry level currently available. 550 watts. The chuck is an SDS Plus, so it can hold the quick connect drill bits. You plug them in and off you go. 240 volts with a cable, as in here in Europe that's 240 volt. I'm pretty sure that in the US and Canada 110 volts I believe. So this is a corded drill, this is not a battery operated drill. 3 speeds. It's got a pneumatic hammer mechanism, and that produces in the hammering function, or the drill and hammering function, 580 beats per minute. In the UK this is currently for sale for around about £75 sterling. I'll put the prices in euros and dollars. It's very compact, it's not very big. You've got the option to adjust the handle like so, or you can remove it completely. It also comes with a depth gauge which you insert here, and then it's a little plastic bar with some measurements on it, so you can preset the depth and it hits the wall, and that obviously means you've reached the desired depth of the hole you're drilling. Unfortunately, with the house move situation, that's missing in action, so I can't show it to you, but I put a picture in the video right here. SDS bits, for those of you who aren't familiar with it, they're basically bits that look like this. So they have this opening that has slight indentations on that side and on this side. So it literally, when we're looking at the drill, you literally just click it in and that's all you do. And then to take them back out, you pull back the little cover, the sleeve, and you pull it back out. And they can be inserted in different directions, so when you're chiseling, you can put the chisel in the way that you want it to have it to break tiles off the wall, etc. Talking about the settings, so with the dial you can choose settings. So this is drilling only, as we zoom in a little bit on the occasion. So that's drilling only. Then you have drilling and hammering, as in the bit rotates, but it also gives you the hammer function, which is ideal for masonry. And then this is the hammering only function. So this is if you have a flat chisel and you're chiseling away at tiles, etc. It doesn't spin because obviously it rotates the flat part of the chisel constantly, which means you wouldn't be able to chisel a lot. The trigger switch, just a simple on-off switch if you like, with a variable trigger control. And then you have the option to lock it in place by pressing the little red button, so you don't have to hold the trigger button the whole time when you're chiseling. So you can just put your force on the back of the drill, chiseling away, and then it's just a simple press on the trigger and it releases the trigger lock forwards and backwards. So that's your direction, fairly easy to adjust. Nice and solid. This is a solid plastic, this is not a soft grip or anything, so this over time can be a bit tiresome on the hand. There's not a lot else to it, so let's get straight into it. Before we get into it, the convenience that Bosch has actually done us a little favour here is that they put the actual material description of the plastic. PA6 with a glass fibre 30% SEBS on the rubber overmoulding. Let's get straight into it, and we'll start by removing this handle so that this allows us to take the actual clamshell apart. Having a closer look at the handle, Again, it's got the PA6 with 30% glass fibre reinforcement. So yeah, nice simple handle design. The screw clamp screws in place like this, and it basically clamps the two parts together, causing a friction seal around the neck of the drill there, which gives you 360-degree adjustability. You can position the handle in whatever direction you fancy. And then let's have a look inside the machine using the trusty old impact driver to open her up. Okie dokie. Alright. Ah, the cheeky buggers. There's two more. If we have a look, there's two more little fasteners just there. You can just see them on the edge there, which is basically stopping me from getting the clamshell opened. So that means we have to somehow get this off, which doesn't look too complicated. The tip is a rubber grommet. There's a little, whoa, there's a little protection. So as you can see, that's a rubber stop. Basically, if you ever hit the wall or you know, an object or whatever, it basically protects the drill and the object from any damage. And that then means we can pull this one off, and you can see how that works. So this is basically the release for the drill bits to be precise. It's just a little spring with a metal washer, little circlip that basically holds the whole assembly together so it doesn't fall apart. Anyway, let's get back to it and take the last two fasteners out. There we are. They're all T10 and they're all the same length, so nothing to worry about there when we put it back together. Right, there is one big blob of grease on this side of the clam. It's a nice moulding, good quality, no blemishes whatsoever as such on the inside. No markings on the inside because obviously they're on the outside, so that's something that is a bit special with the Bosch tool. Nicely integrated overmoulding. It's got these little grooves, if we zoom in on them, which basically acts as little grippers. When they inject the overmoulding into the green plastic base moulding, it grips into these little channels, if you like, and forms a nice grip, so this won't come off. Similar principle to having the through holes, is just to give it extra adhesion when there's a bit of a force applied to the surf. Nothing wrong with that. Nice and stiff handle down the bottom. Very torsionally stiff, so you can't really twist it, so that's good. Nothing wrong there. Let's put that to the side. But then if we have a look on the other side of the clam, as we can see, a nice beefy motor. This is an old-fashioned tool, if you like, a brushed motor. You can see the two brushes, one there, beefy laminated steel plates and a nice beefy coil on them. Taking the little safety switch, or sorry, the directional switch off, just a little toggle. So a little toggle there. It basically just goes onto the back of the switch instantly and you can change direction. Nice big beefy switch. So this is the switch assembly. So it comes with the anti-kink arrangement, but the anti-kink opening is quite a lot larger than the actual cable diameter. So you could argue how much anti-kink is it really providing. Power, neutral and positive going into the switch. I guess other power tools, so this is a universal switch that Bosch must use, where they, instead of having the actual cable clamp into the clamshell of the tool, they use a variation of options here which isn't utilized in this particular drill. Right, let's see if we can take the assembly apart, which is also screwed in place with two little T10. And again, they use the same fasteners as the ones used for the actual clamshell on this particular one. So there's only, so far we came across two types of fasteners. The little ones that they use for the cable at the bottom, and then the other ones for the rest of them. Little plastic holder to basically hold the bearing in place. So what they do is they have this half of the clamshell, assemble the whole tool inside of it, lock it in place by putting this little plastic in place, so you have basically the back of the drill supported by the bearing, and then they just put the other clam on it and job done. You could argue they could have done this on this side of the clam, but they just want to make sure that the cables are all nice and neatly tucked away, I guess. This is manufactured by a premium manufacturer. Although it's Bosch Green, they still have that emphasis of quality and want to obviously build good quality tools even at the lower price points. Oops, there's one of them, and there's the other one. Nice long brushes, zoom in on them. Spring loaded, quite a nice little strong spring, plenty of life left in them. Are also T10 but slightly different. That's it. Let's move that out of the way. So that's the other half of the clamshell. As you can see, some more grease. It's a very watery grease. So this is where the switch is. So if we turn it and we have a look at this side, you can see what you're actually turning are these little sprockets, little plastic peg there. And if we turn it, it basically pushes the little metal sprockets out of the way to engage the drilling, the hammering drilling, or just the hammering. Again, this is a very nice and stiff clamshell. If we try to put them together, nice and solid, fits beautifully. It's a good quality clam. It's proper. You can not even like squeeze these parts. They're so stiff. So this is done properly. And then on this side, where the Bosch logo is actually part of the molding, it's not actually painted, so they injected a different color plastic inside the main clam to basically give you the Bosch logo. So it's like almost like a three-stage process. Well, 3 stages with the black plastic. So they make the green piece, then in whichever order, I don't know, they insert the grey, the red, and then the black. So they probably do these two together because it's in the same sort of area and it's the same side, so that could be a very simple molding process. And then they add the black stuff in a separate stage. So that's, you know, that's a lot of details and a lot of time spent in that area. And then you can see the drops of grease have already dripped out while I was holding it upside down. And then there we go, that's the inside of the motor. Nice and beefy motor. Very clearly printed on the type of the motor. There's nothing else on the other side. And then this temperature sensor. So this just lives on the outside of the motor, loosely like that. And this is basically a resistance into the switch and tells the switch if it gets beyond a certain threshold, as in too hot, and it'll turn itself off, as in this is just a component protection system. If we have a look at the switch itself, the type number, so this is Kaut and Buchs, which is a German manufacturer of switches, the SL58SH. That's all that does. So basically it just locks in place into that large opening, and then when you press the switch again it just pops back out because this is just spring loaded. It's a very simple system but very effective. And the motor, or the rotor if you like, from the electric motor, labelled up nicely, balanced, and a nice solid, nicely epoxied in. And then we can see a nice beefy metal caged bearing, 608Z. Now we've had a look at the electrics of the drill, let's have a look at the mechanics of the drill. So before we start taking it apart, we have to carefully remove the seal so that we don't break it. So these rings, they slide in and out on these little arrangements here. So they've got 3 positions. So we've got this one, the middle one, and that one. And when they slide halfway. So they slide between the end points, so that when so this is now engaged, and now we turn it and this way. Now it's like freewheeling basically, so it's not engaging the drill function or the hammering functions. And then this is the chuck, obviously, where the drill bits go in, the SDS plus. And carefully remove, and we probably have to do it together. There we go. Carefully remove the pneumatic piston arrangement. So this is all part of a assembly as such. This slides in and out, and because it's greased up so nicely, you get an air chamber basically. So by this moving in and out, you get like a bit like a bicycle pump. So this thing starts vibrating like an air pump, and you can see the little holes there and there, which is where we have the air coming in and out. So that's where the air can escape from when this thing is, so basically the piston is blocking the air. So when it's blocked all the holes, obviously the air can't escape. As soon as it frees up, the air allows for the air can escape through one of the holes, through one of the openings. And the front bit is the hammering bit. There's a very heavy spring which I can't possibly move with my fingers, but this thing is the bit that allows for the hammering feature to happen. Now, and for the hammering function to engage or disengage, you can see this roller. So this is an eccentric roller. As we hold the shaft steady, you can see that it's moving in and out. This forwards and backwards motion basically gives this piston the chance to move in and out. It's not an end stop. So this feature, which is actually spring loaded, so we can compress it by the spring. You can see it zooming in. So on the actual piston, there's another port, a little hole there. So when the air is compressing, the spring gets compressed, and then the air can get out, which releases it, and then it goes into its forwards motion, compressing the air after it locks all the ports, and then it hits the end again, so the spring load, before basically this hits the bottom like so. The air inside this chamber is of a greater pressure than the spring force, so it operates the spring, and the air can get out of the chamber, releasing the impact. And then because this thing moves in and out constantly, it repeats that process very quickly. So that's basically how it works. So this just slides in and out like that really fast, which creates this air chamber, which creates the hammering function, which is what the pneumatic hammering feature that Bosch claims is providing. Yeah, it's turned, so it's very finely turned and polished. So the components are all very high quality. This one as well, this is an aluminium. You can see some markings there. Very high quality, so aluminium housing with a metal insert which has got the spring in it. Some steel rings to protect the aluminium from wearing out. A steel bushing of sorts. Okay, there you go. Which is nicely hardened. Obviously this is aluminium, so it'll be soft. And then these components are all hardened, very hard steel. A nice little ball bearing here at the end, supporting the transmission shaft. There's no markings on this bearing either, so I couldn't tell you what the bearing manufacturer of this bearing is. But they all look very high quality, yeah, nicely hardened. You can just hear it on the noise. It's all hardened steel. Yeah, they're all machined parts, very high quality. Very simple. It's all part of the same mechanism. A little silicon gasket. So to summarise, clamps, very high quality, well made. The only point of criticism really that we can have on this is personally the handle here is very shallow, so there isn't a lot to grip onto. The operation can be quite stiff, so were this to be a bit longer is a bit more comfortable on the fingers. And then on this particular drill, in particular the stickers on the back, they're all applied slightly on the crooked. High quality motor, it's a brushed motor, but one that's been engineered properly, nicely epoxied in. Very high quality on the copper coils. The control mechanism is all as part of the switch. It's got a self-protection feature in it, as in it monitors temperatures and switches itself off when it gets too hot, which is good. Which, as I said, if you watch last week's video about the iron hell, that was the bit that could have helped with it stopping going up in smoke. Besides the screws that came loose, obviously. Mechanically, excellent components, high quality products used, machining processes, manufacturing steps are of a very high quality, hardened materials where they need to be. So yeah, it's very good. I can't really fault the internals of this machine. So yeah, if you're in the market for a good affordable drill, then I can definitely recommend this drill, this hammer drill, the Bosch Hammer, as you would say in German. Thank you very much for watching. Give it a thumbs up if you like the video. Click the subscribe button, and then we'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourself.